Hi, I'm Garland. We're going to do a walkthrough on this Jayco Pinnacle. This particular one is a model 36 SSWS. I always start with the door, go around the outside, then we'll go on the inside and do everything in there. So, first thing, you got these wonderful steps. The key thing about those is they only can get in and out of the camper if your door is completely open, so it can clear here. They are on a spring assist, so when you go to pull them out, there'll be a little bit of resistance. They aren't just going to come crashing out and smack you in the head. So that's how that works. Again, it's got to be clear open so that these will clear the doorway. As you bring it down, you can look and see that these feet can be individually adjusted with these little push pins. Pull that out, you can adjust it up or down either side individually so that when you get your campsite, if it's not setting level or your step bangs every time you step on it to go in and out of the camper, you can adjust that. You got your T-bar to hold your outside door in place if you decide to just use the screen door and you don't want the wind banging your door back and forth. Outside speakers are here. This is your water tank, your hot water tank. It's an Atwood, so it's an aluminum tank. You don't need to have an anode rod, it's just a simple plastic plug. Goes in right underneath here. You got your pressure release valve right here, so when you're getting ready to drain it, just release the pressure out of it, so when you're taking the plug off, it's not going to spit and sputter all over you. It'll just run out nice and smooth down the side of the camper there. This has a spray port, so it's a little quick connect water outlet. There is a coiled blue hose. This one comes with a garden hose head on the end of it. When you pop it in here, as soon as it's popped in and has contact, it's going to be live. So you want to make sure your hose head is in the off position, otherwise it's just going to take off spraying water all over the place. Here's your other outside speaker on this side of the camper. This is your pass-through storage. It's got lots of things in here. You've got a light up here that you can set it to either work on motion or manually on and off. Got your central vac system is right here. You can open it up to exchange the bags. I always help people remember, before you throw away the last bag, get the number off of it, because just like vacuum sweepers at home, they're all different. You can run it out here with an on and off switch. You got a tire air pressure gauge, double outlet on this side. You have grommets here on the outside and inside, so if you are running lines, hoses, electric cords, anything in and out, you don't have to have this door hanging open to do it. This is a 5-gallon water jug. This is to feed the little drinking fountain faucet by your sink. The motor for this, the pump for it, is underneath the bottom sink drawer. You'll find it in there. A lot of people use it, a lot of people don't. But if you decide that you want to work that way for your drinking water, that's where it is. These little brackets are made to hold the crank that comes with this camper to let your spare tire up and down. Over here on this side, again, you got 2 more outlets. You got TV signal output, so you can actually mount an outside TV here to have under your awning to do tailgating or any kind of parties, but that's what all those connections are for. This is held up with magnetic latch. When I first came out with them, I wasn't too trusting of it. I figured it was going to come down and bang me in the head on a windy day, but it doesn't. It actually stays up there. This is for a spare propane tank. It'll hold a 30 or 40 gallon propane tank in here. Some people use it as a spare, especially if they're going to do a lot of off-the-grid camping and they don't know that 2 of them will be enough, so they carry a 3rd. It can also be where you would mount the propane tank to service a generator if you got a propane fired generator. So that's what's in there. Watch your head. Underneath the nose, you got your T-bar to hold the lid up so that you don't have to hold that up on your shoulders or your head. In here you have your hydraulic pump. You also have your hydraulic reservoir. So that's going to run your leveling system. Over on this side, you got your 2 batteries down here. This comes with 2 because it has an inverter in here. So one of these batteries is dedicated to that inverter. This space here is for a generator. If you put a generator in, that's, again, it's all enclosed for fumes and noise. If you don't put a generator in there, it's just great extra storage space. So underneath here, you've got 3 different light switches. You've got this one that'll blind you when you look right at it. It helps for seeing things out here in the dark. And underneath here you have a couple weather protected switches that actually turn on your eyebrow lights and your docking lights. So we'll turn those off. Got all of your hitch equipment. You got your 5th wheel hitch, your 7-way plug, and your emergency brake cable that'll set the brakes on this if for some reason this camper ever came disconnected from your towing vehicle. Over here you've got like a double out slide. In here is your typical double propane tank compartment. It's got a regulator on here. If they both happen to be in the on position, whichever way this little arm is pointing is the tank that will pull off of first. I always warn people that it will automatically switch from an empty one to the other one if they both happen to be in the on position. So be aware of that. Try to keep one closed, one open, so that when one does run empty, you know it, so that you know you've got an empty tank and you got a full tank and you got to get one either replaced or refilled. Up here is your battery disconnect. It's just a great big key looking affair. If you turn it this way, that disconnects the battery. It keeps everything from pulling any charge off of your batteries. You put it in the on position, it lets everything work again. If you're familiar with a battery disconnect, great. If you're not, please know that it won't let anything pull charge off your battery, but if it's off, it also won't let anything get into your battery. So just be aware of that. If you're going to store it someplace where you can't plug it in and you want to save the life of your batteries, turn that off. Just remember, when you get ready to use it again, turn it back on. Here's the other side of your pass-through storage. Up here in the ceiling portion, you've got your inverter that we talked about earlier. That's going to run your residential style refrigerator and a select number of outlets in the camper, up to 72 hours if all power goes away and it's just sitting there with nothing to put power back in or keep it charged up. You have a light again on this side, double receptacle. This panel right here is access to get back here, to get to the back of your hot water tank or any of your plumbing and your water pump. This is what we call your docking station. It also, on these newer, later models, they've got their hitch leveling system up here. It's got a power button. This gets it on and off. It runs your front jacks up or down to get you on and off of your tow vehicle. When you get where you're going, get it off your truck, pull it out from underneath the nose, hit auto level, and this will run. It's going to tell you if it's operating, it'll tell you if it's got low voltage, it'll tell you if it's running out of jack stroke because there's an excessive slope. You can do it manually or auto. So when you're through camping and you're ready to take off again, get it hooked back up to your truck, hit the all retract, and it'll pull all of your jacks back in. It levels with your front 2 jacks and your back 2 jacks, the ones in the middle it uses as stabilizers. So in here then you've got another quick connect place for a hose for an outdoor shower. You got a place for satellite and cable hookups here. Your water pump button is here. One of the nice things that Jayco did was develop this color-coded grid for your different knobs. So depending on how you're going to be using this, if you're going and you've got city water hookup, that's the configuration you'd put them. If you're going to go dry camping, that's the configuration. If you want to fill your tank while you've got your water hose hooked up, put them in those configurations and it will divert the water into your tank. Here's your freshwater hookup. You just put the hose or your water pressure regulator up here. It's got a little washer in there so you can also winterize it at that outlet. Here's your black tank hookup. People that have a black tank are familiar with that. If you're not familiar with it, the black tank is you put a hose on there, turn the water on, goes into your black tank with pressure and a whirlpool action and cleans everything out of the black tank. The black tank is everything from your commode. There's a caution sticker for that. But us guys never pay attention to that till we've screwed something up. So I'm going to tell you, the reason for that caution sign is you don't want to turn the water on to this inlet until you've opened your black tank drain, because it's going to go somewhere. And if it can't get out the drain, it could come right back up into your camper. I have to tell you, I've never talked to anybody that forgot more than once. This also has a little grommet door so that you can run hoses, TV cables, power cables in and out of here without having to have the door hanging open. Here's your inline water filter. And then up here is a plug if you decide that you wanted to do solar. So that's everything inside your docking station. While you're out here working, up here underneath, you do have another one of those weather guarded light switches that'll turn on the blue light so that you can actually see what you're doing at the docking station and at your propane tanks. This is your furnace exhaust. Couple things to be aware of. If it's running the furnace, it will get hot enough to leave a mark, so you want to be aware of that. Also, there are certain bugs and insects that absolutely are addicted to sniffing propane, and they will climb in there. They love to build a nest. They only come out when you're sitting under the awning trying to have a nice time. So we always urge people to put that screen on there. Keeps people from accidentally bumping it and getting it burnt. Keeps the bugs and insects from getting in there in the first place. This is a little access door. This is where you would put a SantaCon unit if you decided to do a SantaCon. Until you do that, or if you never do that, it's just going to be a blank open space. The SantaCon unit, people ask, what is that? The easiest way to explain it, it's like a blender for your commode. It makes you look at margaritas entirely differently from that point on. Okay, here's where your sewer line hooks up. It's a universal connection, so no matter what kind of sewer hose you get or where you get it, it's going to fit on here and work for you. So that's what happens there. All the handles for it were in your docking station. You have 2 gray tanks and 1 black tank here on this unit. Slide rooms. Just in case you've never had one, the seals on all slide rooms are rubber. Like any rubber product, if it's sitting out in the sun baking a lot, it's going to start to get brittle, and that will affect the integrity of your seal. So you want to keep those nice and pliable. There's a product called Slide Room Seal Lubricant. If you put that on there, it keeps them from getting brittle, keeps your seal in good shape. It's like it's got a UV protectant in it and a moisturizer basically, so put that on there and it really helps your seal stay in good shape. This is just an access door for people to ever have to service your refrigerator unit or to get to the water lines for it, because it's got an ice maker in it, so you've got water lines, you've got all the coils and everything that operate your fridge. This is just a way to access it for service. There's a little label here on the side that says low point drain. That's for your cold water line drain. And you can see it underneath here. It's a little blue hose coming down with a little spigot end on it. Also back here we have your power cord. It's on a reel. You can latch it for security reasons. You can also open these two little side doors so that you can run that hose out of there, your line, I'm sorry, without having the door open. But if it is open, you can clip it up like that. You got the reel in here. It's an electric retraction reel, so you can push that and it'll reel your hose in. It's a 36-foot hose. You have a 50 amp service here, so it's a nice thick hose. It's got the 3 prongs and a blade. A lot of places won't have a 50 amp plug for you, or you may only have 30 amps available. Like on the side of our building here, we have 30 amp service. So you can see we have it going with an adapter. So it takes it from your 50 amp hose or 50 amp cord to your 30 amp connection. This is like a dryer plug. It's got the 2 blades and a prong. Coming out of your camper, you got 3 blades and a prong. So here's your ladder. It's good for 250 to 275 pounds. It's great to get up and access the ceiling. This roof is rated for 4,500 pounds, and a lot of people use it that way. They'll get up there with lawn chairs for races or ball games or all kind of events. You can get up there and do that. It safely will accommodate that. You just want to be careful treating the roof membrane good. Also, they want you to get up there and check all the seals a couple times a year. It helps keep your warranty in shape. You want to look around your air conditioners, your vents, everything else that's up there. Make sure all those silicone seals are in good shape. So that's what's going on there. Also, you see a little blank black spot up there. That is for your backup camera should you decide to mount one. So you can mount it there. It ties in to the little eyebrow lights up there for power. And then you've got a separate, like a wireless screen that you can put on your dash or the console of your tow vehicle to be able to see what's happening back here behind you. Got a receiver here that's good for like 300 to 350 pounds. Bike rack, cargo rack, things like that's what it's really for. Around this corner, underneath this fender, you've got a remote propane connection. It's got a little quick connect hose adapter there, so you can run off your propane tanks on this unit. If you take a freestanding grill or a cooktop or something like that, you don't want to have to haul another propane tank. You can hook it up here and run it off the propane tanks on your unit. Also, while we're here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but there's a little pipe looking thing that comes out through the I-beam. That's the little crank access to your spare tire, which is mounted underneath there, and you can raise and lower that just like they do on pickup trucks these days. But if your slide room is out, you have to get on it right there with your crank. If the slide room happens to be in, there's an access hole for it here. It even labels it. Got another little label telling you there's a low point drain someplace here. So if you look right through there, between the tire and your jack leg, you see a little white spigot-like outlet. That drains your freshwater tank. If you decide that you ever are going to use your freshwater tank, you want to make sure it's empty, that's where you would drain it. You have self-adjusting brakes, easy lube axles, the little Jayco emblem in the center of each axle will pop off of there, and there's a grease cert at each wheel. 1 to 2 shots of grease per year should take care of it. I always urge people to pull a wheel every now and then. Just make sure the bearings are fine, that they don't need to be repacked or anything like that. These newer ones, they say you shouldn't have to do that very often, but I think you should at least check it occasionally. that brings us back to where we started. You do have two awnings on this unit. They each have their own extend and retract button, and they each have their own strip of LED lights on the awning. You also have slide toppers on this unit, which is very nice. And with that, we're back to the door. We're going to go inside and do the inside next. Okay, on the inside, you walk in, and this little door right here, it's just about head high. You've got all of your controls. It's one of those touch screen deals. You touch it, it comes alive, hopefully. I'm not a big fan of these because sometimes you can look at them and they're just perfect, and other times you can touch them all you want to and they just kind of look back at you. So you've got a home button. It talks to you about climate, lights, your tanks, your energy. It's just, all of it's right there. So for example, if you do that, you can turn things on or off. You can do air conditioning or heat. This is going to let you check your tank levels. So it's showing you your fresh water tank has a little bit in it. Gray 1, gray 2, empty. Black tank, empty. You can, let's see, what else can you do? I'll put my glasses on. You got your water pump button here and your water heater buttons. You can run your electric water heater element or your gas or both. So other than that, then you've got your leveling system that you can do in here as well as outside. This is where you can set your temperature. You got heat on right now. You can touch that, then you can run it here. Heat, fan only, cool, auto, or air conditioner. So I've got it on heat right now, puts it here, and then whatever unit you put on, you can raise or lower the temperature with these little buttons. So that's how that works. Then you have lights everywhere. All of your lights inside and out you can do from here. You also have some buttons down here that'll light a few of them, so when you walk in you can get lights on pretty quickly without having to find this and do your screen. Tire pressure, and telling you how your battery and your fuel are. The battery and fuel is in case you have a generator in here. So it'll let you know what the fuel situation is for your generator. So we'll go back to the home button. So to run your slide rooms, you touch this, you got slides. This is slide 4, slide 3, 2, 1, and so you extend it or retract it once you get to whichever slide you want to run. It does the same thing with awning 1 and awning 2. And then this is if you want to pair your phone up to this whole set of controls, and you can run it all with your smartphone, which really gives your neighbors a heck of a shock when nobody's around and you start making slide rooms run or awnings run. It just is very entertaining. So that's all the stuff right here. This is for your air cover up on top. You can hit that button and it's going to run your vent right here in the kitchen area. You can open it, you can close it, you can have the fan on or off, you can adjust the speed of the fan. If you close it, it's just going to automatically turn the fan off. Well, it usually does. Okay, so that's the button to do that. Anyway, what you want to notice here is it does have an umbrella icon on it that tells you it has a rain sensor. So if you happen to have the vent open and you're off camping or hiking or something and a storm comes up or rain comes up, it'll sense that rain, close the vent, and turn off the fan. This great big switch here does one thing. It turns your ceiling fan on and off. The chain hanging from it adjusts the speed of the fan. So that's all of your controls here. I'm going to close that so we don't bang our head on it. You got an entry closet. Down here is your breaker switches and fuses. They are all labeled. They're just typical auto fuses. You don't have to go get some kind of special fuse, but I always urge people to maybe get a few extras and keep them on hand. So that's all the stuff when you walk in the door. So if we go down this wall, you got your day and night shades. They just work like the old-fashioned blinds that we used to have at home. They'll go clear out of sight or they'll come clear down. You've got, let's see, what's the easiest way for you to see this? Here are your chairs. You've got two here, and then you've got two underneath the bed in the master bedroom. But you've got storage underneath the seats in these two main ones. You've got a table here that has a leaf extension. Put it back, you'll raise that up, slide that in. Watch your fingers. Also, at the bottom of this table, you have a double receptacle back here in this corner. And you have another one handy right over here between the dining area and your recliners. So then, you should know also all these light fixtures will have a switch on the fixture themselves, as well as there's a light button that you can turn them on and off with a wall switch. Recliners, they're electric. You can push the button out and in. I think this one also does heat, and does it do vibration also? It does. Heat and massage, and it'll extend or retract with just the buttons here. So that's pretty handy. They'll lay out pretty good. You can fall asleep right in front of the ball game or the movie right there. We've also got a little compartment in here, cup holders, storage. This particular area, you've got a light switch that does these main overhead lights. You also have a little light switch panel here that will let you do ceiling lights, the pendant lights over above your kitchen sink. It'll let you do high and low air conditioning. You can do the dinette light here. You can do all your exterior lights here. So besides your main panel where you walk in and all of your controls are, periodically throughout this unit you'll have little light pads like this that will run things within a certain area for you. You don't have to go running back to the main panel to run things. Here's another wall switch. Does little overhead lights there. Double receptacle on each end of the sofa. These side lights, it's just a light switch at the bottom of the fixture itself. And it's the same on that one. Double receptacles, like I said, but on this end you also have a double USB port for a charging station. While we're standing here looking at this, these windows are almost all jallist windows. So they crank out and they crank in. They're handy because if you have them open and you're out hiking or whatever and it comes up a rain, you don't have to come tearing back here to close them. Unless you're getting a really hard sideways wind, water's not going to come pouring in here the way it does on sliders that go up and down or side to side. So that's that. We come around, well, I guess before we leave this is a bed, pulls out. You take the cushions off, this pulls out, you got the legs underneath here. It actually comes out into like a camper queen size bed. You got an ottoman here with storage underneath it. It's not fixed, it moves around for travel. If you put it in this position here on the floor, it's okay. Both slide rooms will come in and they'll stay put for your travel. Got your big TV, storage here. Up in behind here, you can see where your cable passes in to work off of your antenna. It's also got a couple extra outlets for you up there. Got your sound system here. Does AM, FM, it's got 3 speaker zones. It'll do thumb drive, HDMI, you can do headphones, MP3 player. You can do CDs or DVDs through it. You can also hook it up with your phone and do Bluetooth. It'll work off of all these buttons here, or it has a remote also, a little bigger than a credit card, that'll run everything. And it will also read those signals through this glass. You don't have to have this hanging open for it to work. So, let's see. This is the style that will go down inside the cabinet. It's just a spring-loaded one. You push it down and it fastens. You release this button here, and it'll bring it back up. Runs off of this remote. This little tiny remote here, it takes the place of your chainsaw and your axe because it runs your fireplace. So you can turn it on or off. You can adjust how bright or dim the flames are. Turn it off altogether. You can adjust the fan. You can adjust the temperature so it can blow out heat and it'll actually warm this camper up about 35 degrees. Or you can just have it on to look at without it producing heat. So that's that unit right there. As we go around this wall, you're going to open up and see that you've got a nice sized pantry with a light switch on here so that you can see what you're doing. So let's see, that does that one. Looking to see here. I was just looking to see where the light switch was for that. Anyway, you've got storage above and below and beside of your microwave. It's a convection microwave. It's got all the racking and everything inside of it. Bless you. This will do an exhaust fan, high, low, and off. It'll do light, bright, and off. Your stove. This is a new stove that they've come out with. Let's see, you can do your panel light so that you can see what you're doing here. Then you also, each burner has its own knob and its own sparker. So you put this over to where it shows that it's light, and you push it in and it snaps and then it lights back there. So each one does its own sparker, just like that. And then once you have it lit, you can adjust the flame. This one also works the same way for your oven. So this particular knob here does your oven. You can see that you've got the little flame there. You do that, you hold it in, and it's going to light your pilot light. And once your pilot light is lit, then you can adjust the temperature of your oven. And it is down in here. You can just barely see it. But you can adjust it up to 500 degrees. And it'll also broil, adjustable racking. And you also have a light switch over here that does your oven light. So, like I said, this is a new stove unit for them. It's pretty nice. And here's another one of those little panels that I said you'd find periodically that will run certain things in that area. On this particular one, besides lights, you also have one that will run your water pump. So if you're pulling water out of your freshwater tank, if you forgot to turn it off and you need it here in the kitchen real quick, you can get it turned on right there. These drawers, they're those easy close drawers. So you get them part way and they're going to finish closing for you. They're very nice. Please be aware that you can force them closed. But if you continue to do that over a long period of time, pretty soon the little mechanism just gives up and stops working. So you and anyone that might be visiting, just let them know that it's easy closed drawers so they don't just think they have to force them shut. That's the case with all the drawers in the kitchen. And this bottom one is your big Jayco envelope. It's got all the manuals for this camper as well as all of the appliances. So on your kitchen island, here's that little drinking faucet I was telling you about that is tied into your 5-gallon jug in the pass-through storage underneath. You got your sink that pulls out will do stream or spray. On top of your countertop here is extra outlets. So you got USB plugs and you have 110 outlets. And to put that down, you do need to release that little red button. Don't try to force it down and break something. Underneath your big double sink here, you do have a wastebasket, and you also have this little brackets here. What that's for is to store your sink covers. It helps keep them safe whether you're traveling or when you're working in the kitchen and you want to be using your sink. You don't want those laying in the road or getting knocked off and falling on your toe. You can store them down here. It keeps them nice and safe out of the way and protects them. Coming down to this end of the island, you have a little carbon dioxide monoxide sensor. You've got little accent lights underneath here that you can see. So you've got a residential style refrigerator here. It's got a little latch here that for when you're traveling, you can put that up there and the doors won't come open. To release it, everything opens. We talked about this outside. It does have an ice maker. It's got a place to put a water filter in here for the water that's coming through here to make ice cubes with. A couple things to be aware of on this refrigerator. It's got a little lock on it. So if you hit these two together, it'll count down 3, 2, 1 and unlocks. See the lock? So you can measure how much water will come out. So if you got little people trying to get water and you don't want it just pouring water all over the place, you can set it to just pour so much at a time. You can get the ice type, crushed or cubed. You can set your temperature. You can do your light here, for example. It can be bright, it can be dim, it can be backlit only, or off altogether. Temperature, you can set your, it makes you count it down again, but it'll let you set the temperature for the freezer and the refrigerator. So the freezer is set for 0, refrigerator is set for 37. You can just leave that alone. When you stop fooling with it, it will just kind of turn off and go away, or you can make it turn off. So when we go over here, you got everything in the position you want it, temperatures you want, it'll lock, and then no one can mess with it and change your settings. So that's how that works. Here, more counter space and storage. This does a little light overhead here. And then this little doodad right here, that's your inverter switch. We always tell people just put it in the on position and forget it. Then as long as you're plugged in, the generator's running, or you're plugged into your tow vehicle, that inverter is going to be soaking up charge. So if at some point there is no charge coming into this unit, like I said, it'll run your refrigerator and certain outlets for about 72 hours without any additional charge. So just leave it on, and as long as there's any power coming in here, it's going to soak it up. When it's full, it'll just sit there and hold that charge until something causes it to use it, and then it'll refill again. Storage. So that's all the kitchen area. Down here on this step, you've got where you would plug your central vac hose in. It's the kind, as soon as the hose makes contact there, it's going to kick the vacuum on and run. This, you can also sweep things over here to this outlet here, kick that up, and it'll vacuum things right down in there. It's a great place to look for cat toys, kid toys, children. Anyway, check that before you get panicky. Next step is this little light here. Wherever there's a step like that, it's a motion thing. So if it senses that somebody's coming this direction, that light's going to come on. It's made specifically for people's toes. Great bathroom space, double sink, party shower, Got your vent fan up here. Got your light switches. You've got a GFI plug here and a double outlet over there. So if for some reason something stops working and it just doesn't make sense, before you go worrying about fuses or breaker switches, check your GFI plug. A lot of times that'll solve it. Just lots of storage underneath here. You've got a porcelain sink. It's a porcelain commode, and like any RV commode, it's not going to have a big bowl full of water. If you push the pedal part way down, it'll let more water come in these outlets here. All the way down flushes it. So we don't have any water hooked up, so you can see a little bit still in the line. Push it all the way and it flushes. I don't think there's really much else to tell you about in here. Directly across the hall is a big double closet space that has the plumbing and the electrical for mounting a washer dryer in here. This bedroom takes us in, bedroom door takes us into the bedroom. Something to be aware of. You can tell this latches back here. So I'll let Samantha get in here past me. And we'll show you right down here is a little safety latch. That needs to be engaged before you can run this slide room. Your bedroom slide will run fine, but this hallway slide will not operate unless this door is secured into that latch. It's a safety thing because if it's stuck part way open or closed, it's going to be ugly. So that's what that's for. Also in here you just have more closet space. You have another one of those little panels on the wall that'll do ceiling lights, reading lights, hall light. It also will run your bedroom slide. So besides out on your main panel, you can run this bedroom slide from this panel right here, which is kind of nice because you're in here to see if anything's in the way, make sure everything is clear for it to operate. These little doodads here, you'll see them sporadically throughout the camper. They're little temperature sensors. So when you've got your climate control on in there, whether you're trying to heat it a certain amount or cool it, these things are reading and sending the signal back to the unit to tell it whether it needs to keep running or shut down. It's especially good if you've got it in the auto mode, so it knows whether to put heat or cold out there. So that's what that is. You have reading lights up there above the head of the bed. You've got double receptacles on both sides of the bed down near the floor. On that side of the bed, you've got another one of those little light panels that's going to run reading lights, ceiling lights, hall lights. Again, so you don't have to get up and tromp around in the dark. So that's all of that. Closets over here. Dresser drawers. You got another fireplace here that also has its own remote. If for some reason you don't have the remote with you, or you lose it, or the battery goes down, both fireplaces have manual controls right here that you can turn it on and off and run the speed of the fan, or how much heat you want coming out of there, or how bright or dim your fireplace is. Got another remote for this TV. This one has these two little poles here. If you pull on those, it releases and you can lift that TV off so that you can get to more connections in case you want to hook up a DVD player back here or a game or anything like that. Storage on both sides. Both of these TVs were running off of the antenna. They don't have to be watching the same channel. Doesn't matter. Right here from where we're at, right off the antenna, you can get just about anything within 100 miles. All the Columbus stations, Lancaster stations, Newark, Zanesville, they'll all come in on here. It works pretty good, especially when the weather's nice. I'm going to put this remote here. You also have, again, double receptacle here, charging station. You got USB and 12 volt. So that's all the things here. You got lots of neat stuff here. You got double receptacles on both sides of this little sofa area. You got the little ceiling light switch. You got your blind that can go clear up, clear down, or any place in between. Just great storage all the way around. You also have more storage drawers underneath. And up here, before we forget about it, this is a Wi-Fi signal. You can turn that on and off so that you can run Wi-Fi off of here. So it's all set up and pre-wired for that. And of course your air conditioning vents are here, your heat vents are all on the floor. And then, as I told you outside, you've got lots of stuff under your bed. It's like a Christmas time. So, has struts that'll hold the bed up. You've got 2 more chairs. Those are folding chairs that go with your dinette set. The fabric and everything matches. You've got a water filter. You've got the wrench for your water filter. You got the crank for your spare tire. You've got your winterization hose. You got the hoses and all the attachments for your central vac system. And outside at the spray port by the door where we talked about it, and also over at your docking station, this is that hose that you can pop in. You can get more than just this one. You can also put a shower head on here instead of the garden hose head, but that's what that's all about. So underneath your bed, if you take all that stuff out of there, it's amazing how much room you're going to have. So with that, I believe that pretty much completes the walkthrough for this Pinnacle. Thank you.